The arena of Varkos Prime was never silent. Thousands of alien voices filled the air. Metal seats rose high into the sky. Flags of many star empires floated above. This was not just a place for battle. It was a place of pride, of strength, of honor. At the center of the arena stood a massive warhammer. It was taller than most warriors. Its head was made of dark star metal, covered in old runes. The handle looked simple, but everyone knew the truth. This hammer had a name, Starbreaker. Only one warrior had ever used it. Her name was Carathane. She was standing beside it now, tall, broad-shouldered. Her armor was red and black, marked with many battle scars. Her eyes were sharp, cold, and full of power. Carathane was the strongest warrior of her species, and she was female. The crowd respected her. They feared her. But there was one rule that made her legend even greater. No male had ever lifted her hammer. Not from her race. Not from any race. Many had tried. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. Today, the trial of strength continues. Any warrior may attempt to lift Starbreaker. A large alien male stepped forward. He was massive, covered in thick armor. His muscles looked like carved stone. The crowd cheered. He grabbed the hammer with both hands. He shouted and pulled. Nothing happened. He tried again. Veins popped. His face turned dark. The hammer did not move. The crowd laughed. One by one, more warriors tried. Tall ones, heavy ones, even champions from high-gravity worlds. All failed. Some fell to their knees. Some walked away in shame. Carathane did not smile. She did not mock them. She simply watched. She knew the truth. Starbreaker was not just heavy. It demanded worth. Then something strange happened. The announcer paused. A new challenger has stepped forward, he said, confused. The crowd turned. A human was walking into the arena. He was not tall. He was not wearing heavy armor. He carried no weapons, just simple dark clothes. The crowd went quiet. Then laughter exploded. A human? They are weak. This is a joke. Humans were known in the galaxy, but not for strength. They were traders, workers, survivors, not warriors. Carathane narrowed her eyes. The human stopped in front of the hammer. He looked at it, not with hunger or pride, but with calm respect. His name was Ethan. He took a slow breath. Carathane crossed her arms. Step away, she said loudly. You will embarrass yourself. Ethan did not answer. He placed one hand on the handle. The crowd laughed louder. One hand. Is he insane? Ethan tightened his grip. Then he lifted. Starbreaker rose from the ground. Just like that. No shout. No struggle. No shaking. The hammer was in the air. One-handed. The arena went silent. No cheers. No laughter. No sound at all. Carathane's eyes widened. For the first time in many cycles, she felt something she did not like. Shock. Ethan held the hammer for a moment. The runes along its head began to glow faintly. A softum filled the air. Then carefully he placed it back down. The sound of metal touching stone echoed like thunder. The crowd exploded. Shouts. Fear. Confusion. That's impossible. He cheated. Humans can't do that. Carathane stepped forward. Her boots hit the ground hard. She stood in front of Ethan, towering over him. You lifted what no male ever could, she said slowly. Why? Ethan met her gaze. He did not bow. He did not look away. I did not lift it to prove strength, he said. I lifted it because it asked to be lifted. The word sent a chill through the arena. Carathane felt it too. The hammer had responded. She turned to the crowd. This trial is over, she said. Then she looked back at Ethan. Human, she said, her voice sharp and dangerous. You will face me next. Ethan did not smile. He simply nodded. The arena lights dimmed, and for the first time, the galaxy began to fear humanity. The arena lights burned brighter. Carathane stood face to face with a human. Ethan looked small in front of her. She was taller, heavier, built for war. Her armor was thick. Her scars told many stories. She had defeated beasts, soldiers, and champions from many worlds. No one had ever stood before her without fear. But the human did not step back. The crowd watched in silence. "Do you understand what you have done?" Carathane asked. Ethan kept his voice calm. "I lifted a hammer." Her jaw tightened. "That hammer is a symbol of power," she said. "It chooses warriors. It does not answer to weak hands." "I know," Ethan replied. "That is why I did not force it." Whispers spread through the arena. Carathane turned and raised her arm. "Prepare the circle," she commanded. The floor of the arena shifted. Metal plates moved apart, forming a wide combat ring. Energy shields rose around it. A duel. The crowd leaned forward. "This is madness," some whispered. "She will kill him," others said. Ethan stepped into the circle. He carried no weapon. Carathane stepped in after him. She reached back and lifted Starbreaker with ease. The hammer felt familiar in her hands. Heavy, loyal. She spun at once, the air shaking from its weight. "This is your last chance to leave," she said. Ethan shook his head. "I am not here to fight you." Carathane frowned. "Then why are you here?" "To stand," Ethan answered. The signal sounded. The duel began. Carathane moved first. She charged forward, fast and powerful. Starbreaker came down like a falling star. The ground cracked where Ethan had been standing. But he was gone. Ethan rolled to the side, barely escaping the impact. Stone shattered. Dust filled the air. The crowd gasped. He was fast, faster than expected. Carathane attacked again. Wide swings, heavy strikes. Each blow could end the fight. Ethan did not attack back. He dodged. He blocked with his arms. He moved with control, not panic. Why is he not striking? Carathane thought. She adjusted her stance and aimed a direct strike at his chest. Ethan caught the handle. The hammer stopped. The shock ran through the arena. No one had ever stopped Starbreaker mid-swing. Carathane pulled back, surprised. Ethan released the handle and stepped away. "I will not fight you," he said again. Anger flashed in her eyes. "You insult me," she growled. She swung harder now, faster, more dangerous. Ethan was pushed back. He slid across the ground. His arm bled. His breath grew heavy. But still, he did not attack. The crowd was confused. This is not a duel. Why is he holding back? Carathane felt something strange. Respect. She stopped suddenly. Starbreaker hit the ground. "Why?" she demanded. "Why do you refuse to fight?" Ethan stood still, chest rising and falling. "Because you are not my enemy," he said, "and I do not raise my hand without reason." The words struck deeper than any weapon. Carathane had fought her whole life. She was raised for war. Strength was everything. Yet this human stood wounded and chose restraint. She lowered her hammer. The arena was silent again. "You could have tried to defeat me," she said slowly. Ethan nodded. "Maybe. Then why didn't you?" "Because power without control destroys everything," he answered. Carathane looked at Starbreaker. For the first time, it felt heavy. She stepped back. "This duel is over," she announced. The crowd erupted in chaos. He surrendered? She spared him? Carathane faced a human. "What is your name?" she asked. "Ethan," he replied. She nodded once. "Ethan of Earth," she said. "You are not weak." Then she turned away. High above the arena, hidden from the crowd, members of the Galactic Council watched in silence. One of them spoke softly. "That human did not fight, and yet he won." Another replied, "That is what makes him dangerous." The lights dimmed, and the galaxy took its first step toward fear. The arena was empty now. The crowd had left, still whispering, still confused. Some were afraid. Some were angry. Others simply did not understand what they had seen. Ethan stood alone near the edge of the combat ring. His arm was injured. A deep mark from the hammer's shockwave burned across his skin. He felt pain, but he did not show it. Pain was not new to him. Carathane watched him from a distance. She had faced many warriors in her life. Strong ones, brave ones, cruel ones, but Never someone like this human. He did not fight to win. He did not fight to dominate. That made him dangerous. She stepped closer. You move like a trained soldier, she said, but your body is not built like ours. Ethan looked up. That is true. Then explain, she demanded. How did you lift Starbreaker? Ethan was silent for a moment. Then he spoke. Where I come from, he said, the world is heavy. Carathane tilted her head. Heavy. Our planet, Ethan continued, pulls us down harder than most worlds in this galaxy. He crouched and touched the cracked floor. Every step, every breath, we grow under pressure. Carathane listened carefully. Our bones grow dense, Ethan said. Our muscles learn to work against constant force. Even standing still is training. She frowned. Your people live in pain, she said. Ethan nodded. Yes, from the day we are born. Carathane remembered the hammer, glowing when he touched it. You did not force Starbreaker, she said slowly. You respected it. Ethan met her eyes. On Earth, he said, strength without respect destroys the weak. We learned that lesson the hard way. A long silence followed. Carathane turned and began walking. Ethan followed. They entered a quiet chamber beneath the arena. Old banners hung from the walls. This was a place of truth, not battle. Your kind is seen as small, Carathane said. Clever, but fragile. Ethan gave a small smile. We hear that often. She stopped. You are not fragile, she said. You are controlled. Before Ethan could reply, alarm sounded. Red lights flashed. Carathane's hand moved to her weapon instantly. A mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. Attention. The Galactic Council has issued a notice. Human Ethan of Earth is requested for evaluation. Ethan's expression did not change. Carathane's did. The Council does not evaluate without reason, she said. They fear what they do not understand. High above them, the Council chamber glowed with cold light. Ancient beings sat in floating thrones. Their eyes watched countless screens. On every screen, Ethan lifted the hammer. He did not struggle, one counselor said. He did not boast, another replied. That is worse. Humans adapt, said a third. If one can do this, others will follow. A silence filled the chamber. Finally, the highest counselor spoke. Prepare trial. Back beneath the arena, Carathane faced Ethan. They will test you, she warned. Their trials kill. Ethan nodded. I expected that. You could leave, she said. Return to your people. Ethan shook his head. If I leave, he said, they will fear humans more. If I stay, maybe they will learn. Carathane studied him. No pride, no fear, only responsibility. She felt something she had not felt in many cycles. Trust. I will stand with you, she said. Ethan looked surprised. You owe me nothing, he said. I owe the truth, she replied. The alarm stopped. A door opened. 2 council guards entered, tall and cold, their armor shining. Human Ethan, one said, you will come with us. Ethan stepped forward. Carathane moved beside him. The guards hesitated. She comes too, Ethan said. The guards looked at each other. After a pause, they nodded as they walked away. Carathane glanced at Starbreaker, resting in its place. For the first time, the hammer felt distant. Above them, the stars watched, and the galaxy prepared to test a species it had never truly understood. The council chamber was vast and cold. Floating platforms circled a glowing center. Ancient symbols moved slowly in the air. This place had ruled the galaxy for thousands of cycles. And now, a human stood inside it. Ethan walked forward with steady steps. His hands were empty, his posture calm. Carathane walked beside him. The counselors watched from above. Some had many eyes. Some had none. All of them felt the same thing. Fear. Human Ethan of Earth, the highest counselor spoke. You have lifted a weapon that no male of this galaxy could lift. Ethan remained silent. That act has disturbed the balance, another counselor said. Balance keeps peace. Carathane stepped forward. Strength is not imbalance, she said. Ignorance is... The council did not like that. Silence! One voice echoed. You are not on trial. Ethan looked up. Then I am, he said calmly. The counselors exchanged looks. Yes, the highest one replied. You are. A symbol appeared in the air. The trial of endurance. Even Carathane felt her breath tighten. That trial is forbidden, she said. Few survive. That is the point, the counselor answered. Ethan studied the symbol. What is a trial test? He asked. Will, came the reply. Obedience and breaking. Carathane turned to Ethan. They will push you until you fall, she warned. Or until you die. Ethan nodded slowly. Then I will stand, he said. The council chamber shifted. The floor opened beneath them. Ethan and Carathane were dropped into darkness. They landed on cold metal. A harsh light turned on. They were inside a massive chamber. The air felt heavy, hard to breathe. Ethan's knees bent slightly. Carathane felt it too. Gravity, she whispered, increased. A voice echoed. Welcome to the trial of endurance. Gravity will rise every cycle. You may surrender at any time. Ethan took a deep breath. This felt familiar. On Earth, gravity had always pressed down on him. This was worse, but not new. Around them, other species had already fallen. Some were unconscious. Some were crying out. Carathane struggled to stay upright. You should leave, she said through clenched teeth. This is my burden too heavy. Ethan shook his head. I told you, he said. I did not stand alone. The gravity increased. Metal groaned. Aliens screamed. Bones cracked. Ethan's muscles burned. His breath slowed. Sweat ran down his face. But he stayed standing. The council watched closely. He should have fallen, one said. He is still adapting, another replied. Minutes passed. Then hours. Carathane collapsed to one knee. Ethan caught her before she fell completely. Stay with me, he said. She looked up at him, shocked. You should let me go, she whispered. Ethan tightened his grip. No. The gravity rose again. This time, even Ethan felt close to breaking. His vision blurred. But something deeper held him. Memory. Cold nights. Hard ground. Pain that never asked permission. This was just another weight. He lifted Carathane to her feet. The chamber fell silent. No species should endure this, a council whispered. But he is, another replied. Finally, the highest counselor raised his hand. End the trial. The gravity dropped. Ethan and Carathane collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. They were alive. The council chamber returned. Ethan stood again, slowly. You tested my body, he said, but you fear my species. The counselors did not deny it. Humans do not break easily, Ethan continued, and we do not bow to fear. A long silence followed. Carathane stepped forward. He passed your trial, she said. Now face the truth. The highest counselor spoke. This is not the end, it said. The galaxy watches. Ethan nodded. Good, he said. So do we? As they left the chamber, alarms echoed across the station. A new signal flashed across council screens. Unidentified fleet approaching. Carathane looked at Ethan. This time, she said quietly, the galaxy may need you. The lights dimmed, and war began to whisper through the stars. Warning lights flashed across the station. Sirens echoed through the metal halls. Carathane and Ethan moved quickly. The air felt tense, heavy with fear. Every screen showed the same message. Unidentified fleet approaching. The Galactic Council was no longer calm. This is not a test, one counselor said. This is real. Ethan looked at the screen. Hundreds of ships moved through space like dark shadows. Who are they? He asked. Raiders, Carathane replied. A species that destroys world for resources. No mercy, no prisoners. The council turned to Ethan. There's one more trial, the highest counselor said. Not by us, but by fate. A new symbol appeared. The trial of death. Ethan understood at once. If I fight, he said, you will judge my species by what I do. Yes, the counselor answered. Ethan took a slow breath. Then watch carefully. The station shook as the first enemy ships fired. Explosions lit the darkness of space. The hangar doors opened. Warriors rushed to their positions. Carathane grabbed her armor and Starbreaker. "You should stay back," she told Ethan. "This is war." Ethan shook his head. "On Earth," he said, "we do not run when others are in danger." A transport ship launched toward the battlefield. Inside, the gravity shifted violently. Enemy fire filled the stars. The Raider ships were massive. Black armor, red lights. They moved like beasts. The first clash was brutal. Energy blasts tore through defenses. Warriors fell. Carathane fought at the front. Starbreaker crushed enemy armor. With each strike, Ethan fought beside her. He had no hammer, no blade, only his body and his will. He moved fast. He pulled wounded soldiers to safety. He blocked attacks meant for others. An explosion threw Carathane across the deck. She hit the wall hard. Her armor cracked. Ethan ran to her side. "Kara!" he shouted. She tried to stand, but her leg failed. "I can't fight," she said through pain. "Leave me." Ethan lifted her without hesitation. "No," he said, "not today." The enemy closed in. More raiders poured into the ship. Weapons fired. The air burned. Ethan saw Starbreaker lying just out of reach. Carathane followed his gaze. "The hammer," she whispered. "It is not yours." Ethan ignored the words. He reached for it. The moment his hand touched the handle, the hammer glowed bright, brighter than before. The ship shook. Ethan lifted Starbreaker. This time, not just with ease, but with purpose. The weight felt right. Natural. He swung. One strike sent a shockwave through the deck. Raiders were thrown back like broken toys. Carathane stared in disbelief. "The hammer accepts you," she said softly. Ethan did not answer. He fought, not with rage, with control. Every strike was clean. Every move protected someone else. The raiders began to retreat. Fear spread through them. A human carries a hammer. The battlefield shifted. Allied forces pushed forward. The enemy fleet broke formation. Then silence. The last raider ship fled into dark space. The war was over. Ethan dropped to one knee. The hammer rested beside him. His body trembled with exhaustion. Carathane crawled to him. "You saved us," she said. Ethan looked at the stars. "We saved each other," he replied. Back in the council chamber, silence filled the air. The counselors had seen everything. "He chose defense," one said. "He chose sacrifice," another added. The highest counselor lowered its head. "The trial of death is complete," it said, "and the human lives." Carathane placed her hand on Starbreaker. "Then hear this," she said to the council. "Strength is not domination. Strength is protection." Ethan stood slowly. The galaxy would never forget this day, because for the first time, humanity had been tested by death, and it did not fall. The battlefield was quiet. Broken metal floated in space. Burn marks covered the station walls. The war was over, but its echoes still lived in the air. Ethan sat on the floor of the hangar. His hands trembled. His breath was slow and heavy. Starbreaker rested beside him, silent now. He did not feel victory, only relief. Carathane lay nearby on a medical platform. Medics worked quickly, sealing cracks in her armor and treating her wounds. She watched Ethan through tired eyes. The hammer had answered him. That truth changed everything. When the medics finished, Carathane stood slowly. Pain still moved through her body, but her spirit was strong. She walked toward Ethan. The sound of her steps made him look up. "You should be resting," she said. "So should you," Ethan replied. She almost smiled. Carathane picked up Starbreaker. The hammer felt different now. Not lighter, just distant. She held out to Ethan. "It chose you in battle," she said. "You should keep it." Ethan shook his head. "It is yours," he said. "I only carried it when you could not." Carathane studied him carefully. "You could have claimed glory," she said. "The council would have praised you." Ethan looked away. "I did not fight for praise," he said. "I fought so others could live." Those words stayed with her. They walked together through the station halls. Warriors from many species stopped and watched them pass. Some bowed. Others stepped aside in silence. No one laughed now. In the council chamber, the air felt different. Less cold, less certain. The counselors floated quietly. "The human has proven his worth," one said. "He has passed every trial," said another. The highest counselor spoke. Carathane of Varkos, human Ethan of Earth, stepped forward. They did. "You have shown strength," the counselor continued, "but more than that, restraint." The counselor turned its gaze to Ethan. "Your kind frightens us," it admitted. "Not because you are strong, but because you endure." Ethan listened. "We do not wish to rule," he said calmly. "We only wish to stand when others fall." A long silence followed. Finally, the highest counselor nodded. "The council will not move against humanity," it declared. "Not today." Whispers spread across the chamber. Carathane felt something heavy lift from her chest. Outside the chamber, the station lights dimmed to a softer glow. Repairs had begun. Life was returning. Ethan stood at a viewing window, looking out at the stars. Carathane joined him. "You change how they see us all," she said. Ethan shook his head. "No," he replied. "They change how they see humans." She considered that. "In my culture," she said, "respect is not given. It is earned in blood." Ethan turned to her. "On Earth," he said, "respect is earned by choosing not to spill blood." Carathane placed her hand over her chest. "A warrior's gesture of honor." "Then you have my respect," she said. "Not as a human, but as a warrior." Ethan returned the gesture, copying her movement. The stars outside shimmered. For the first time, the galaxy felt smaller. A council guard rushed into the chamber suddenly. "Urgent message," it said. Long-range sensors have detected movement. Carathane's eyes sharpened. "More raiders?" she asked. The guard shook its head. "No, something older, something larger." The lights dimmed again. A shadow moved across the stars on the main screen. Even the counselors grew quiet. Ethan stared at the image. "Looks like the real test," he said. Carathane reached for Starbreaker, then stopped. She looked at Ethan. "This time," she said, "we fight together." Ethan nodded. The bond between them was no longer born of battle. It was built on trust. And as the unknown threat moved closer, the galaxy prepared for its final lesson. The stars began to darken. A massive shape moved slowly through space. It was not a fleet. It was not a ship. It was a world killer. Ancient, silent, alive. The council chamber filled with fear. "This entity predates our records," one counselor whispered. "It feeds on war and fear," said another. "Whole civilizations have vanished because of it." Carathane stood still, watching the shadow grow larger on the screen. "Our fleets will not stop it," she said. "Not in time." Ethan felt the weight of the moment, not just gravity, responsibility. "If it feeds on fear," he said, "then we do not give it any." The council turned to him. "You speak as if you plan to face it," the highest counselor said. Ethan nodded. "I do." Silence followed. Then Carathane stepped forward. "This threat will reach the station first," she said. "I will lead the defense." She reached for Starbreaker. Her hand froze. The hammer did not respond. No glow. No hum. Slowly, it rolled away from her and stopped at Ethan's feet. The chamber gasped. Carathane stared. "The hammer has chosen," she said quietly. Ethan looked down. "I never asked for this," he said. Carathane met his eyes. "Neither did I," she replied. "But destiny does not ask." Ethan lifted Starbreaker. It felt different now. Lighter, warmer, alive. The runes ignited with bright light. A deep sound echoed through the chamber like a heartbeat. An ancient voice filled the air. "The protector is chosen, not by strength, but by will." The council fell silent. The world killer moved closer. Battle stations activated across the system. Ethan stood at the front of the defense line, Starbreaker in hand. Carathane stood beside him, wounded but unbroken. "You should not stand alone," she said. I won't, Ethan replied. Not anymore. The entity attacked. Dark energy waves crashed into shields. Ships exploded. Fear spread fast. Ethan stepped forward. He slammed Starbreaker into the ground. Light burst outward. Not destructive. Protective. A shield formed around the station. The world killer paused. For the first time in its long existence, it hesitated. Ethan felt pain tear through his body. The hammer pulled energy from him, from his will, from his memories. But he did not let go. Humans had endured worse. Carathane saw him fall to one knee. She grabbed his shoulder. Stay with me, she said. Ethan looked up. I will, he answered. He lifted the hammer again. This time, he did not strike the enemy. He struck fear itself. The light expanded. The world killer screamed, a sound felt, not heard. It began to break apart, not destroyed. Driven away, the stars cleared. Silence returned. Ethan collapsed. Starbreaker dimmed. Medics rushed forward. Carathane held him as he breathed, slow and weak. You did it, she said. We did, Ethan whispered. In the council chamber, the highest counselor lowered its head. Humanity is no longer underestimated, it said. You are no longer observers. You are protectors of this galaxy. Carathane placed Starbreaker beside Ethan. The hammer chose well, she said. It did not choose a ruler. It chose a guardian. Ethan opened his eyes. We never wanted an empire, he said softly. We only wanted to stand when others could not. The stars shone bright again. And across the galaxy, a new truth spread. Humans were not made to conquer. They were made to endure. They were made to protect. The age of fear had ended, and the age of humanity had begun.